across the serene Alps of Europe, where snow-capped peaks touch the sky and time seems to move with precision, an invisible current of longing has begun to flow. From the quiet towns of Switzerland to the bustling cities of Manila, a growing number of Swiss women are embarking on a journey few would have imagined, a journey of the heart that leads to the Philippines. It begins not with grand gestures or luxury, but with curiosity. Many of these women, educated, independent, and emotionally mature, come from a culture where life is orderly, predictable, and efficient. Yet behind the calm facades of Swiss precision, there lies a quiet yearning for something warmer, more human, and deeply sincere. The Philippines, with its laughter echoing through open-air markets and the scent of freshly cooked adobo in every neighborhood, offers a rhythm of life that feels alive, spontaneous, and real. In recent years, the Philippines has captured the attention of travelers and romantics alike, not just for its white sand beaches or tropical charm, but for something less tangible yet far more powerful: its people. Swiss women, known for their independence and intellect, are finding themselves drawn to the emotional intelligence and compassion of Filipino men. What begins as a fascination often turns into something transformative. Social scientists note that this trend reflects a broader shift in how relationships are formed in the modern world. Globalization, technology, and cultural exchange have blurred the boundaries that once separated people by oceans and borders. What used to be an improbable pairing, Swiss women and Filipino men, has now become a quietly growing phenomenon. Online communication, travel communities, and intercultural programs have opened windows to the world, and through them, love stories have begun to take root. For many Swiss women, the Philippines represents not just a destination, but a rediscovery of values that feel increasingly rare in modern dating culture: loyalty, respect, and warmth. In Switzerland, relationships can sometimes feel transactional or overly cautious. People guard their emotions carefully. Life moves efficiently, but often without the spark of shared humanity. In the Philippines, they encounter a different energy, a kind of openness that disarms even the most reserved heart. Filipino men, shaped by a culture of hospitality and family devotion, embody a gentleness that contrasts beautifully with the structured independence of Swiss women. They listen without judgment, express affection without hesitation, and believe in commitment as something sacred. These qualities, simple yet profound, resonate deeply with women searching for something beyond the superficial. One can imagine a Swiss woman stepping off a plane at Ninoy Aquino International Airport, the humid air wrapping around her like a soft embrace. She's greeted by a chorus of taxi drivers, smiling faces, and the smell of mango and sea breeze. At first, she's overwhelmed by the noise, the color, the chaos, but slowly she realizes that beneath the surface lies a deep sense of peace. People here smile with their eyes, they greet strangers like family, and in those small, unspoken gestures, something shifts inside her. Conversations flow easily, English is widely spoken, and humor bridges cultural differences. Many Swiss women are multilingual, speaking German, French, or Italian, and they find joy in hearing Tagalog expressions filled with warmth and humor. Communication, instead of being a challenge, becomes a delight. Through laughter, curiosity, and storytelling, bonds begin to form. As they explore the islands, Swiss women are often struck by how deeply family-centered Filipino culture is. In homes where 3 generations share the same roof, they witness a sense of togetherness that feels both foreign and familiar. Grandparents, parents, and children all play roles in one another's lives, bound by love and respect. In these moments, Swiss women see the kind of connection they've longed for, a reminder that love isn't just between 2 people, but within an entire community. It's not uncommon to hear stories of Swiss women who came to the Philippines for work, travel, or volunteering, only to find themselves unexpectedly falling in love. Some met their partners through charity work, teaching programs, or cultural exchanges. Others through online communities that celebrate travel and friendship. Each story is unique, yet they share a common thread: the realization that love thrives where sincerity exists. Psychologists studying intercultural relationships often point out that these pairings work precisely because of balance. Swiss women bring emotional clarity, independence, and a strong sense of equality to relationships. Filipino men bring patience, humor, and an easygoing optimism that softens life's hard edges. Together, they create something neither culture could produce alone: a partnership that blends stability with warmth, logic with laughter. In Filipino culture, love is not measured by grand declarations, but by daily acts of care. It's in preparing a meal for someone after a long day, in remembering small details, in holding someone's hand through life's storms. These gestures, often overlooked in fast-paced societies, hold immense power. Swiss women, accustomed to independence, find themselves moved by the sincerity of such affection. They describe Filipino love as uncomplicated but profound, and many say it restores their faith in romance. There is also something deeply grounding about Filipino spirituality. Even in hardship, people express gratitude and hope. Churches overflow not with obligation, but with song. For Swiss women, this emotional transparency feels like a revelation. In Switzerland, emotions are often kept private. Here, they are shared freely, without fear or shame. It's an emotional freedom that feels both healing and human. Economics, too, plays a subtle role in this growing connection. Switzerland is among the world's wealthiest nations where life is safe but expensive. The Philippines, while less affluent, offers emotional wealth in abundance. Many Swiss women discover that happiness in the Philippines isn't defined by luxury, but by relationships and contentment. The contrast inspires reflection. What truly matters in a fulfilling life? For many, that reflection leads to a lasting change. Some Swiss women return home with newfound appreciation for community and connection. Others decide to stay, building lives alongside Filipino partners who value them for their hearts, not their status. Together, they form families that bridge continents and cultures. The success of these relationships also challenges stereotypes. Western media often portrays cross-cultural unions as transactional or unequal. But in reality, most of these partnerships are built on genuine connection and mutual respect. Swiss women, confident in their autonomy, choose Filipino men not out of need but out of admiration. They are drawn to qualities that transcend borders: humility, kindness, and the courage to love fully. Sociologists note that these unions reflect a shift in global consciousness. The modern woman seeks emotional security, not just financial stability. And the modern man, especially the Filipino man, offers a refreshing blend of strength and tenderness. He can be both protector and partner, ambitious, yet gentle. This duality attracts women who value emotional maturity over bravado. For many Swiss women, the Philippines becomes a place of rediscovery. They learn to slow down, to laugh more, to value presence over perfection. They find beauty in the small things: the laughter of children, the scent of rain on banana leaves, the sound of karaoke echoing through the night. And they realize that love at its core is not about similarity but about connection. Every cultural difference becomes a bridge rather than a barrier. Swiss punctuality meets Filipino flexibility, European restraint meets tropical openness. When they merge, they form relationships that are both structured and spontaneous. The result is harmony, a dance of contrasts that feels natural and endearing. As global travel continues to grow, these connections are becoming more visible. Travel vlogs, social media, and documentaries highlight these love stories, inspiring curiosity and hope. Swiss women often share their experiences online, describing the Philippines as a place that reawakens their sense of wonder. They speak of the kindness of strangers, the laughter of new friends, and the comfort of being seen, not for how they look, but for who they are. One recurring sentiment stands out in these stories. In the Philippines, they feel appreciated. Filipino men notice effort, whether it's a smile, a kind word, or shared laughter. They value emotional connection over appearance, and that sincerity leaves a lasting mark. For many Swiss women, it is a reminder that true romance isn't about perfection. It is about being real together. This movement of hearts from the Alps to the archipelago is not just a cultural trend, but a quiet revolution in how people define love. It challenges old notions that compatibility comes from shared geography or similar lifestyles. Instead, it celebrates diversity as a source of strength. The rise of these relationships also highlights the Philippines' growing global presence, not just as a tourist destination, but as a nation of compassion. Its people are known worldwide for empathy, resilience, and joy. And for many Swiss women, that joy is contagious. They find themselves smiling more, opening up more, and living with a sense of emotional richness they'd never experienced before. As evening falls over Manila's skyline, one can imagine Swiss women reflecting on their journey. Perhaps they came for vacation or to escape the chill of European winter, but what they found was something unexpected. A place that feels like home, not because of luxury or comfort, but because of warmth and love. Their stories echo across continents, reminding the world that love still finds a way, even in an age defined by distance and difference. For every Swiss woman who finds herself embraced by Filipino kindness, there's a lesson that transcends romance, that genuine connection is universal, and that sometimes the most unexpected places hold the deepest truths of the heart. The monsoon rains had started again. The soft drizzle painted the morning in silver and gray, the kind of quiet calm that seemed to slow time itself. From the small bamboo balcony of her rented home overlooking the rice fields, Sophie stood in silence, a mug of Barako coffee in her hands. The mist drifted over the paddies like whispers of old stories, and for the first time in years, she felt no rush to be anywhere else. Life in Switzerland had been predictable, efficient, polite, organized, but sterile. In the Philippines, her life was chaos with heartbeats. Roosters crowed before dawn, tricycles buzzed like swarms of metal bees, and children ran barefoot through muddy paths. Yet, in that chaos, Sophie had found rhythm, a melody she didn't know she was missing. When she first arrived, she was just another foreigner curious about the islands. But months later, the people she met no longer treated her like a guest. They treated her like family. There was warmth in every gesture. In the way her neighbor Aling Lita would send her bowls of sinigang when she was too tired to cook, or how the kids next door would wave and shout "At Sophie" every time she returned from town. It was a life she hadn't planned for, yet it was exactly what she needed. One afternoon, she went to the local market, a place that always reminded her of her grandmother's kitchen back in Zurich. The air was thick with the smell of dried fish, fresh mangoes, and fried banana Q. Vendors called out prices with playful shouts, and laughter echoed between stalls. As she walked through the narrow aisles, an elderly vendor smiled at her. "Balik ka na naman, ma'am," the woman said. "You like it here, no?" Sophie grinned, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Yes, very much. People here are always smiling." The vendor chuckled. "That's because we're used to finding joy even when we have little." That sentence stuck with her. In Switzerland, joy often came from achievement. The promotion, the expensive vacation, the perfect apartment. But here, it came from small things. A cool breeze on a humid day, a shared umbrella during a sudden downpour, a bowl of halo eaten under the sun. Sophie began writing about it on her blog. The Swiss Heart in the Tropics. What started as casual notes for her friends back home turned into a growing audience. Swiss women began messaging her, curious, envious, inspired. They asked the same question over and over. Is it true? Are Filipino men really that kind? She didn't know how to answer at first. It wasn't just about kindness. It was about a kind of affection that wasn't hurried or transactional. Filipino men, she realized, had a tenderness that came from deep respect, from how they grew up seeing their mothers and grandmothers as the heart of the home. Then came Miguel. He wasn't the romantic figure she had imagined. No luxury car, no grand gestures. He was a simple fisherman from Batangas, with sunburned skin and a laugh that could fill an entire room. She met him on the beach one morning when her rented motorbike broke down. Instead of offering help with awkwardness or pretense, he simply said, "Wait lang, miss, I'll fix it." And he did, with his bare hands, a screwdriver, and a calmness that made her heart quiet too. He never asked for anything. Instead, he asked about her country, her life, her dreams, and every time she spoke, he listened as if each word mattered. Their friendship grew in the rhythm of waves and sunsets. He taught her how to eat grilled tilapia with her hands, how to drink tuba without coughing, how to ride a jeepney without getting lost. She taught him a few Swiss phrases, and he'd repeat them with an accent so thick it made her laugh until tears rolled down her cheeks. When she told him about how cold her winters were back home, he smiled and said, "Then you should stay here. We have summer forever." Months passed, and Sophie began noticing a quiet migration online. Stories of Swiss, German, and Scandinavian women flying to the Philippines, drawn not just by beaches or adventure, but by something deeper. They wanted connection, simplicity, sincerity. Things that modern Europe, for all its progress, seemed to have lost. Some were divorced, others lonely professionals. All were searching for something real. And in the faces of Filipino men, smiling behind jeepney wheels, cooking adobo, or singing karaoke love songs, they found a kind of sincerity that disarmed them. Sophie's blog turned into a movement of sorts. She started interviewing couples, Swiss women who had married Filipino men and built quiet lives in the provinces. Their stories echoed her own. They came for curiosity, stayed for love, and ended up discovering a version of happiness they didn't know existed. One woman, Annalisa from Geneva, said something Sophie never forgot. "I thought I'd be teaching him about European sophistication, but it was he who taught me about humanity." By the second year, Sophie's old life felt like a distant dream. She still missed Swiss bread, snow, and punctual trains, but she no longer craved them. Her hands had learned to wash clothes under the sun, her skin had learned to love the humidity, and her heart had learned to beat to the rhythm of island time. She and Miguel started a small cafe by the sea. Alpine Breeze, they called it, serving Swiss pastries with Filipino coffee. It became a meeting place for expats and locals alike, a symbol of quiet harmony between two worlds that rarely met. Every morning, Sophie would bake croissants while Miguel set tables on the sand. Children would run in and out. Customers would sing karaoke in the afternoon, and sometimes she'd hear Swiss tourists gasp at how peaceful it all felt. That was her favorite part, seeing others discover what she had found. One sunset, as the horizon turned gold, Miguel looked at her and said, "You look like you're finally home." She smiled, eyes glistening. "I think I am." Months later, Sophie returned briefly to Switzerland for a family visit. It was winter. The trains were on time, the snow glittered perfectly, and yet everything felt too quiet, too perfect. Her friends asked, "Why would you live there? It's so far, so poor, so different." She just smiled softly and said, "Because that's where I learned how to live." When she returned to the Philippines, Miguel was waiting at the airport, holding a cardboard sign that said, "Welcome home, my Swiss sunshine." She ran into his arms, the humid air wrapping around her like a blanket. The chaos, the noise, the laughter. It was all music to her ears. From that day on, she never left again. Years later, people online began calling it the Swiss Wave. Thousands of Swiss and European women moving to the Philippines, inspired by stories like Sophie's. Documentaries were made, articles written, interviews conducted. But Sophie never saw herself as a symbol. She was just a woman who followed a feeling and found peace in a place most people overlooked. Her cafe grew busier, her laugh louder, and her heart lighter. She'd often sit by the window at dusk, watching the orange glow fade into night, thinking how strange life could be. She had left Switzerland searching for something new, and found something timeless. In her final blog entry, she wrote, "I used to chase perfection, but now I chase sunsets. I used to look for success. Now I look for smiles. The Philippines didn't give me wealth. It gave me warmth. And that, I realized, is the richest thing of all." And just like that, her story, like so many others, became part of the quiet revolution of hearts finding home across oceans. Because sometimes the most unexpected love stories don't start with fireworks or fate, they start with a broken motorbike, a helping hand, and the courage to stay when your heart whispers, "This is where you belong."